It's a new season of Monday Night Sports Talk here on the AirNetwork.net. A special edition of Monday Night Sports Talk as we were kind of watching the college championship game last night between Clemson and Alabama and a Huntington basketball game. With Dave Shannon, we'll talk about that and more, including the NFL and a whole bunch more. Stick around. Meanwhile, I want to say a Happy New Year to our good friends Jimmy Ty down in Hamburg, PA, and Dave Shannon from Altoona live here on the Air Network tonight with Greg Banks in the studio. Happy New Year, guys. Has it been a great year for you, Dave, or you, Jimmy, already this year, Dave?
Already got some fishing in, went out, bought the fishing license. On January 2nd, I was standing in a stream in Erie.
Are you serious? And it wasn't frozen over?
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
January 2nd was just a really nice day.
Oh, man.
The temperature was not that bad. Upper 30s, around 40 degrees. So, I got an early trip in to do a little fishing with a friend of mine who is currently working in California.
Oh, man.
And I mean California.
Yeah, we're talking like
Los
going
Angeles.
From one environment to another, at least if it's 50 or 60 out there, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to bundle
but
up.
the biggest thing he ran into is a lot of rain.
Oh, I imagine.
As we all know.
As they said, it never rains in Southern California, although we know for a fact.
Tony.
Yeah, well, no, Jimmy. Well, that was another group. Fred Hammond or something was. I forget the guy's name. Jimmy.
No, Tony sang that song
yes,
back
they
in
did.
the 90s.
You would know that, Jimmy, because you were out spinning the disc. But listen, I saw something of you on Facebook.
One other quick thing.
What's that?
It's been a good year because it was great to be back behind the mic.
Oh, yeah.
And, sitting in Huntington High School last night in the gym there in Huntington Area High School and participating and bringing everyone the broadcast of the Lady Cats taking on the Juniata Valley Lady Hornets.
You did a great job, and we'll talk about that before we wrap up tonight's show. Jimmy, I saw you hooping it up on Facebook, man, and you're still getting out there on the court by yourself, it looked like, though. I mean, you were just, like, practicing your dunk or what, man?
Yeah. I just wanted to see if I could still jump and dunk, and surprised myself. Yeah, I can put it down still. I can still jump and dunk the basketball at 10 feet and do all that stuff. So I'm still in shape, so that's always good, Greg.
Hey, that's always a good thing. I can touch the net if I jump high enough, and then somebody holds me up there, I can dunk it. Anyhow, Monday Night Sports Talk, special edition. Chad State's not with us this week. He'll be back with us next week, hopefully. Let me get your idea, guys, of that Clemson-Alabama game last night. Now, going in, and I know, Dave, you don't like to talk about this a whole lot, but we will talk a little bit about that game. You were doing the basketball game at Huntington High School. The game was on the air. A lot of people went to bed at halftime, quite frankly. And as I got a chance to watch bits and pieces of it, I really didn't get acclimated to the entire game, Jimmy, but it seemed very close up until the very end there. And then, surprise, Clemson defeats Alabama. And I think that's their first championship, I believe, what somebody said, since the early 80s or something?
Since 1981, it was their first title. But this was the first time that Alabama lost to Clemson since I believe it was like 1905 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was first
like
game all season
days
two.
Or something like that they said last night.
Go ahead,
First
Dave.
game, too, that they lost when they were leading at halftime.
Oh, no doubt. Hey, I think Alabama was like, they were 90-0, weren't they? Something like 90-0. I forget what the record was. It was atrocious.
Yeah.
The sad thing was Alabama, their defense came out, and they were just like pounding Deshaun, pounding Watson, pounding. Well, and it's like Watson couldn't get any throwing. He couldn't even run the ball in that first half.
Oh, no.
Dabo did something at halftime and just flipped the switch, and bingo.
Dabo Sweeney, he gave him hell is what he did at halftime. And let me ask you this. Now, I'm watching that game, and Scarborough goes down for Alabama. Of course, he's always a threat. He broke his leg.
Wow, is he a beast or what, guys?
That was the key. That was the key of the game right there with Scarborough going down.
Okay.
He scored them 2 touchdowns early on in the first half.
Yeah, so when he goes out, that whole game changes, like, drastically. Now, what if Scarborough stays in there, doesn't get hurt? Obviously, Dave and Jimmy, we see a different outcome altogether, I imagine.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so, because Scarborough, he did good against Washington. He was on a roll against Clemson.
Right.
He goes down. They put in, I think it was like a freshman.
Yeah.
Running back, even though this freshman running back had like 900 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
This season. still, it's a freshman running back.
Right.
Running against a good Clemson defense where Scarborough was just chewing up the yards.
Well, Jimmy,
the funny thing is Lane Kiffin was home in Boca Raton, Florida, watching this, laughing his ass off.
Well, you know what? And I don't know, Dave, if Lane actually had to be down there laughing his ass off, only because Sarkisian did a half-decent job, filling in. I imagine he was relating to the offense the whole time,
Oh, I think there was no doubt about that.
Sarkisian, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Boy, what a horrible time to make a change, Wow. And there's chemistry between the players and the coach going on all the time. And all of a sudden now you have a different guy on the sidelines who's in control of what it is that you do play to play.
Well, let me ask you this. Because Kiffin, he came out in the semifinal game. They interviewed him, and you could see clearly that Saban didn't like the fact that he was being interviewed at the end of that game. And I got to believe somebody had to probably ask Kiffin to leave. I mean, obviously there must be some bad blood there.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think you're right there. I think that was, it's kind of tough sometimes to figure out where Saban's head is.
Oh man,
when it comes to the ego trip thing. Sometimes he seems like a nice level-headed guy, then he seems like a smug what.
He's an ogre, man. Hey, conversely, speaking of Clemson, Jimmy, last night, this guy's definitely going to go number one in the draft because he's already completed college. Deshaun Watson had over 400 yards last night, 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. He's obviously going to go number one in that draft. I mean, you really want to come out and play for Cleveland? Do you think that's what's going to happen to this guy?
Yeah, he'll play for Cleveland. It'll be a QB battle. Well, maybe not a QB battle in Cleveland between RG3 and Watson. But, yeah, welcome to Cleveland, Deshaun.
I mean,
I hope you have a coat.
That's got to be a hell of a surprise when you walk off that field.
Whenever you play in them cold weather games.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the mistake on the lake,
oh,
baby.
No doubt.
Mistake on the lake.
And, this kid has impressions. I mean, this guy left an impression on the college football ranks as one of the best quarterbacks, probably in the last maybe 10, 20 years. Now, RG3 was there at one time. So, as you mentioned, there's probably going to be a battle, no doubt, between he and RG3 in Cleveland. And if they ever decide, which I don't think they will at this point, they kind of love Terrell Pryor on the wing or as a wide receiver. I just don't know. You know what? I would hope that I'm in one of those Eli Manning situations, or was it Peyton that got traded before he ended up where he didn't want to go?
Eli.
Is that Eli? Yeah.
He got drafted by the Chargers. He used to play for them. Got traded, and that's how Phillip Rivers went to the Chargers.
Okay.
Yeah. And who would you rather be right now in your career?
Oh, exactly.
Eli Manning or?
Oh, I'd rather be Eli, no doubt. But Dave, I wanted to ask you this. That game was long, and I don't know if it's because of halftime. But those of us on the we're sitting here.
Honest to goodness,
it's 4 hours and 20 minutes long, and I'm like, that's a little bit too long. I understand this is the featured game.
Penn State game?
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Talk about long, that Penn State game. My God.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was ever going to end.
I kept thinking, are these commercials ever going to end? But then again, you pay these broadcast rights that are astronomical in the millions and billions. And ESPN tried to cough up everything they could to get people to tune into these games. And, of course, that matchup, by the way, was up until that game last night. I got to believe that USC-Penn State game had to have a hell of an audience because it was one of the best college games of this season. Would you guys agree, Jimmy, and then Dave?
Wow.
That's all you can say.
I'm going to say about Penn State is wow.
Wow is right.
Wow. They had that lead in it. That what's his name? The quarterback from USC.
The young kid, the freshman.
The freshman, yeah.
Oh, my.
He's going to be wow.
Well,
wow.
Hey, Dave, conversely, do you think McSorley, I mean, had a great outing, Penn State against USC. They looked like, in the second half, they sort of like reminded you of the Steelers. They came back. They were actually controlling that game down to the last few minutes with that interception, and then all hell broke loose. Should they have anything to be ashamed of after this season? Because none of us really thought they would be there, Dave.
All I got to say is whoever was calling the plays in the fourth quarter on offense should be shot.
Oh, come on.
If that was Coach Franklin, I hope he learned his lesson, because that looked to me like the old, I'm going to play to not lose the game.
Yeah.
Because all it was, every possession they had in the fourth quarter was hand the ball to Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And, they were 3 and out. No.
Well,
you just ripped off 4 touchdowns against this team in a matter of about 6.5 minutes. Keep the throttle down.
Well, they obviously were protecting. They were protecting their lead, Jimmy. I mean, that's what I thought. And at the same time,
they were, but that's a mistake, Greg.
Okay.
It always is.
Yeah.
But the thing is about that Penn State game.
Yeah.
Dave's right. Just keep giving it to Barkley. They gave it to Barkley. I believe it was late in the fourth.
Right.
They gave it to Barkley. He goes around the end. He slips, loses, I believe, like 5 or 6 yards. That field, it might have looked pretty on TV.
Yeah.
But that field condition was like an ice rink for both of them teams.
I agree. I saw both of the teams, though, do that, man. It seemed to be a lot of slip sliding away. I've heard of high school teams, believe it or not, in order to slow down a premier running back, they wet the field the night before. They call in the local fire company and say, hey, you guys, can you wet this field down so we can slow these guys down a little bit? Now, I don't know in the Orange Bowl if you would do something like that, or in any bowl you would do that, or Rose Bowl. Yeah, in the Rose Bowl that you would do anything like that. But there again, they use those painted lines. They have the logo, which has some kind of paint on it. It might be, well, in any event, James Franklin, Dave, Coach of the Year, 2 awards this year. I mean, obviously,
I got to say one thing. I had a lot of conversations with people leading up to that game against USC in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
And I had, I don't know how many people say to me, I just hope Penn State doesn't get embarrassed.
Oh, they
didn't.
I
said, don't be worried about that.
Right.
I said, I underestimated this team up until about the final 3 games of the season. I learned my lesson prior to that.
Yeah.
Because this team, once they got past that point, once they got past the Michigan drubbing they took, that team, that was just the way they were. I mean, it was like down by 14 at the half.
Yeah.
We got them right where we want them.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way they played the end of the season. Man, outstanding stuff. A big tip of the cap.
Oh, no doubt.
Could have had that victory against USC if they had kept the offense moving the way they had been in the third quarter. Never let up, when you're in a game like that, especially with that much time to play and as explosive an offense as USC has.
Well, I'm still pissed, Jimmy, the fact that Penn State was not ranked number 4 and took on Clemson in that other semifinal game. Ohio State showed up. They didn't really show up in that game. And they should have been embarrassed as far as I'm concerned. First of all, they did not win the Big. They didn't win the Big Ten.
First time Urban Meyer was ever shut out in a football game.
Right.
Yeah.
And they deserved everything they got.
They're very embarrassed.
Yeah, they should have never been there as far as I'm concerned. So, I'm glad. A tip of the cap, as Dave said, to James Franklin, Coach of the Year, twice, Sporting News, and also the Woody Hayes Award. He deserves it. I know that Penn State, hopefully in the future, should have a half-decent team. And I imagine, and I can't recall who is leaving to go on to the NFL, but they do it with the blessings of their coach. But it's not Saquon Barkley, and it's certainly not McSorley, so they'll be returning some Letterman next year.
The funny thing about Penn State, I'll say this.
Mm-hmm.
Back home, back in Johnstown, Altoona, Huntington, whatever, right?
Right.
A lot of kids, they're like, do we go to Pitt or do we go to Penn State? That's our 2 big colleges.
Oh, yeah.
2 big D1 schools, right?
Right.
And Pitt fights for Pennsylvania Players of the Year. Penn State fights for them.
Yeah.
Penn State's going to get all them players now.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Because of that game. Because them kids weren't at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? Let's first say. But they're watching it at home and saying, you know what? I can go to Penn State.
Yeah.
I can go to a major bowl like the Rose Bowl. Penn State's up and coming.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a Pitt alum, I love my Panthers.
Right.
Right.
I don't know if that's ever going to get any better.
I'm going to go to Penn State just because of the type of bowl games they can go to and the way that they are winning football games.
Well, if you noticed, I didn't really talk much about
all them players.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about that Pitt Northwestern game, nor will I. But I will.
It's okay. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Well, let me say this.
It's a shame.
Well, go ahead.
It's a shame to me that you end up losing Connor, and then you lose Peterman, and you're still competitive in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, from that standpoint, Pitt did all right for themselves. And I would have liked to have seen that game played out and Pitt to have both Connor and Peterman the whole way through the game. I think they end up winning that game if they did.
But I think
and a better performance, too, by their defense.
Oh, better,
They give up 20-some to Northwestern.
Yeah.
And, they took a beating. In the media, and hey, I'll throw myself into that mix too, because I never had anything complimentary to say about their defense until I watched them.
Oh, yeah.
And in that game, in the Pinstripe Bowl, I thought their defense showed up and did a really good job.
Well, I get the final word on this one, Jimmy. I saw on Facebook last night after Clemson whooped Alabama, some Pitt fan said, well, we should have been there. We beat Clemson. Well, come on, man. Get the hell off the Facebook, because the reality is
true. We're the only ones that beat Clemson this year.
It doesn't matter, because here again, we beat Ohio State. And what did that matter? You know what I mean? We could have been. Penn State could have been in the semifinals this year. So, and we weren't. Anyhow, hey, it's a special edition of Monday Night Sports Talk here on a Tuesday, getting together with our guys, Jimmy Ty down in Hamburg, PA, and Dave Shannon in Altoona. Dave, by the way, the voice of Bearcat basketball. Got another game coming up on Tuesday, by the way, as Bearcat boys, I believe they take on, who is that? Belfont, I think, Dave. That's coming up on Tuesday evening.
Belfont.
All right, and we'll talk a little bit about high school sports coming up. But first, let's take a break, and then we'll talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, because, oh, man, talking about surprises, we'll find out more coming up next. Who are on a special edition of Monday Night Sports Talk on the AirNetwork.net. Grab the Big Kahuna, the 24 square cut pizza with your choice of one topping for only $19.99. Now at All American Pizza and Subs at 612 Washington Street, downtown Huntington. All American Pizza and Subs has delivery, and they're the home of great pizza, subs, salad, wings, and more for lunch, dinner, or a late night snack. Call All American Pizza and Subs right now at 643-0222. Closed Mondays. All American Pizza and Subs. Like us on Facebook.
Brenneman's Meat Markets are celebrating nearly 70 years in providing Huntingdon County with quality USDA-approved processed pork, chicken, and beef products. Brenneman's has 2 locations in the county where the tradition of the finest meats are found in the region. Stop by Brenneman's Huntingdon weekdays from 8 to 6, Saturdays 8 to 3. Mount Union, open 9 to 5 weekdays and 9 to 2 on Saturdays. Choose specials of $10 to $50 meat packs containing your favorite meats. Or stop by and ask about our select custom cuts, prepared and packaged while you wait. Brenneman's Meat Markets in Huntingdon and Mount Union. Call our office at 814-643-2751 for specials and more information.
It's a special edition of Monday Night Sports Talk on a Tuesday with Jimmy Tide live in Hamburg, PA, down around the Philly area, and Dave Shannon in Central PA from Altoona, Pennsylvania, the city of motion, where they actually invented trains, I think, Dave. That's what I tell these young kids. I said, hey, you know that little toy train that you play with? Well, we invented that in Altoona.
And Mr. Westinghouse over in Pittsburgh was the guy that developed the brake system.
Yeah, and how about the Carnegies and Mellons and all those people that used to come through our area with their little fancy red cabooses and stuff. Yeah.
They're the ones that caused the Johnstown flood.
Thank you. Blame them for something. Anyhow, Jimmy, you were...
Hey, we have the Reading Railroad down here.
That's right. You got the B&O. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave. Yeah.
And the Reading Railroad is on Monopoly.
All right. Well, there you go, Jimmy. You had to get that in.
The fame.
All right. Hey, Dave, go ahead.
Hey, I wanted to get one thing in on NCAA football. I know our last show prior to the holiday season, we had talked about how many bowl games there are. Well,
yeah, nobody watching.
Here's the deal. Those early games were some of the most entertaining football games that you wanted to watch, competitive football games.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to the scores from the early games, 48-45, 34-26, 34-31, 31-24, 26-24, 35-24,
right,
23-25, 24-38. I mean, here's another 33-32.
They were competitive, but
that was Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan 33-32. And then the premier bowl games sucked.
Yeah, they did.
You got LSU shutting out Louisville. Beating them 29-9.
Yeah.
And then you had Alabama and their debacle with Washington.
Oh, that was
Clemson
a blowout.
and Ohio State.
But the Penn State game was the best. I don't care what you say. Until last night, Penn State was the best game.
Best bowl games
right.
was Penn State,
right.
and Penn State and USC, and last night's Alabama-Clemson game. If you look at all the bowl games, and Dave was reading down all the scores, the two most exciting bowl games this year in college football was the Bama, Clemson, and Penn State, USC. By far, them two games are going to go down in history there.
And I love to see the ratings. Hey, speaking of ratings, on Sunday, I had a bunch of people over at the house for a special occasion. A friend of mine flew in from Florida, and she's in town for about 10 days. She had suffered MS and also cancer, and it was sort of a victory lap for all of us. But more importantly, she's a big Steeler fan. So we got together to watch that Miami game. Guys, I got to be quite honest. I don't know what happened when we went down to Miami. I keep saying those guys went out Saturday night and hung out on South Beach and ended up getting beat. Remember Ajay or whatever the running back was that killed us when we played Miami last time, the Dolphins?
Jay.
Yeah, he was a non-factor this time. Now, having said that, everybody looked splendid in that 30-12 win over Miami. But I got to tell you, in the second half, a couple of things happened. Guys were going down on Miami's like flies. They wanted to get out of that game so fast. I don't know if they were faking injuries, Dave, or what that deal was. And what really shocked me is we're in the fourth quarter. We're leading this game by at least 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns, and they kept Big Ben in there. And then I find out the dude had to wear a boot Sunday evening because he hurt his ankle.
Yeah.
Who does that, knowing that you're going on into the playoffs? First, you, Dave, your kind of idea of the football game and that thing with Ben, and then we'll talk with Jimmy.
Yeah, I was, asking the same question that everybody else was at that point. And then especially when I was thinking that in the fourth quarter anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And then to see him in the boot afterwards, it was like, yeah, way to go. Why the hell was he still out there taking snaps when all you were basically doing at that point was running the football anyway?
And that's what they were supposed to be doing. And then Ben actually was throwing passes during the fourth quarter.
Well, Coach Tomlin took the blame for one of those that turned out to be an interception. Right. He said he made that call because Haley did not want to do that. So, and he said to the media, "Don't ask Haley about that on Thursday. It was my call. It's my responsibility."
Well, Jimmy, I was just going to ask Jimmy real quick. Should he have subbed? For Ben. Let's put some. Well, what they used to call cannon fodder, down at the Gettysburg battleground. Yeah. Let's put somebody up front like Landry Jones. Come on, he's not expendable. You know what? He is expendable. But Big Ben, man, you can't get him hurt going into that KC game.
No, the funny thing was about keeping Big Ben in there. Landry Jones had a really good game the week before against Cleveland.
Yes, he did. He won.
So so why keep Ben in there, knowing that you're going against Kansas City, which Kansas City is a very tough defense, and you're playing in Kansas City in Arrowhead, the loudest stadium in the NFL. I just read a report today before we came on air. Ben saying, I just aggravated an old injury. Yeah. Well, Kansas City's going to see that old injury and go after that.
Yeah, how about that? Now, that's what is my biggest fear.
You're going to have Justin Houston and Dontario Poe and whoever the hell they have on their team going after him.
Well, let me get your perspective.
Landry Jones, they should have, once they took Le'Veon out, once they took Antonio out.
Take the starters out.
They should have taken out Big Ben.
Right, I agree with you. Hey, Dave, what was your perspective of that game? Everything looked like we're pretty tight going into this KC game on Sunday now. Everybody seemed to be on point, momentum, what we need to peak here near the end of the season, because now we're 1-0.
Yeah. The defense looked really good. The Bud Dupree, but that hit on Matt Moore.
Right.
I thought he decapitated him.
Yeah. Well,
but you know what? On further review, that was actually a regular football hit.
It was.
He did not. Those guys.
Not hit him helmet to helmet. No.
No, and also the other one that was going on was Jim Nantz and Phil Simms wanted to say that he cocked him in the jaw.
No.
And I looked at that in slow motion. I do not think he made contact. I just think his helmet got the face guard of Matt Moore, and, his neck snapped back.
Yep.
Which you would expect it to do. But I don't think he cocked him in the jaw, because if he would have,
he'd have been laying on the ground
in
for
the
rest
jaw
of the
with his helmet. Believe me, it would have been concussion protocol time.
Oh, no doubt, because you know what? After the guy, did he sit out for one play?
Yes.
One play, and he came back. Okay, so there again, it depends on where you play and, of course, how you get the calls. Now, let me ask you guys this. Is it going to be a distraction? Here we are, getting set to take on Kansas City. Ben's probably going to be all right. We know D'Angelo's all ready to go. We know that Le'Veon's ready to go. Shazier had a great game the other day. Harrison looks like he's ready to eat bear. Then you got crazy men like Joey Porter on the sideline, who is supposed to be a role model, quite frankly. And then he goes out and beats up a bar. Well, goes to a bar and beats up the doorman. Okay, so Dave, you first, and then Jimmy. This doesn't have to be a distraction because he's already been suspended. Basically, I don't even know if Tomlin's taking him on the trip on Sunday.
No, he isn't. He's out. The Steelers, the official position from them is we're continuing to gather more information about this incident. Well, there isn't a whole lot of information to gather here. And I think that's just a cover story.
Oh, no doubt.
To give them the time and take Joey Porter out of the mix here, maybe through the end of the season. I don't know. Thank God Mike Munchak doesn't have problems like that. Because I want to tell you about the Steelers this year. If there is one thing you can point to, and I firmly believe this, Mike Munchak has made the biggest difference in the offense in Pittsburgh by taking that offensive line and turning them into one of the most well-oiled machines. One of the things I noticed against Miami was a lot of the pulling guard stuff that they did. Yeah. And they did the holes so well, too.
The holes that Le'Veon Bell had. You could have driven a truck through those holes. Now I hear. Go ahead, Jimmy.
And you don't see an offensive line that has two All-Pro offensive linemen.
That's right.
Castro and Pouncey.
Yeah, that's right. And you know who also?
That's very odd. Yeah, Dallas has that. But their whole offensive line's like that. The Eagles. Same deal with the Eagles.
But it doesn't help them at all because they're home golfing. It doesn't help them
because the Eagles are out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because their defense was a little sketchy.
Yeah.
But still, with Pittsburgh, you don't see that where you have two guys lined up next to each other that are all pros, and I think that's what helps Le'Veon. Let's say if Le'Veon Bell played for a team like Cleveland or he played for a team like Tampa Bay,
he'd get beat up.
He would not have that many yards.
Oh, he'd get beat up all the time.
Doing their job.
Hey, guys, getting back to the Porter thing, and I'll let it go because, Dave, you and I have worked for enough people in the industry over the years, and some of them were jerks and some of them were just psychos. That conversation would have gone something like this. Oh, you did that while you represent us. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah,
you're done.
That's probably what happened.
What happens to Joey Porter?
Yeah.
That remains to be seen at this point. I mean, I always saw him on the sideline because he's a very recognizable.
Oh, he came out on the field. Remember last year with Burfict and the craziness? He went out on the field there.
Exactly.
You don't do that stuff.
A few years ago, he got shot in the ass.
Yeah, that's true too. I remember that too.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, I don't know what he meant to them as far as the playing aspect of the game goes and how much he was actually providing to the team. But the bottom line is, after this event, it doesn't really matter what he was able to do for the team.
He was probably just a spiritual leader of some kind. You put a former player. And there you have a Kevin Brown. I think Kevin Green, the Hall of Famer, said, "Hey, listen, if they need me," and he said this in the press tonight, "I'll come over and work with them." So he knows that it's basically the leadership. It's these guys look up to these former players. Guys who, like Debo, is not a former player yet. I mean, Harrison's still playing, but someday he could be in that role. and do it very well as long as he keeps his nose clean.
No doubt.
Now, let me get some...
James Harrison does. I mean, I saw an interview, our good friend Paul Alexander.
Oh, I remember Paul,
posted a video on his Facebook feed, and that was him being interviewed by Andrea...
From ESPN?
Andrea Kramer.
Oh, okay,
Kramer. And seeing that interview and seeing, and she wanted to go down this road and crucify him, that somehow, some way, this guy that just absolutely busts his rear end to stay in shape. Mm-hmm. And if you looked at that video and saw him doing those leg presses,
oh my God,
with the amount of weight that was on there, my God.
Hey, get on his.
And she wanted to go down the road to try to accuse him of using steroids. It's like, come on, man.
All you have to do, and Ike Taylor even mentioned this on his show several times because they're close. Just go to his Instagram page. A lot of my friends do. Every morning, you can see Debo working out. That is an incredible workout. Now, if that's drug-induced, I don't know. Well, with me, I need to take some drugs because I need to work out here and then scare some people. That's what I need to do. No, seriously. Could you imagine me being like nothing but a little ball of muscle, Jimmy? Going after you like you and take down and, well, you would be easy. But like some of the girls.
I'd be easy because I'm 6'4".
But it doesn't matter. Hey, the way they say, the bigger you are, the harder they fall. Hey, that's just how it is. All right, listen, I need predictions. Kansas City and Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. Jimmy first and then Dave. Go ahead.
Well, with the injury of the Ben, games in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Pittsburgh 24.
All right.
Kansas City 17.
All right, Dave, go ahead. What do you got predicting this upcoming game? It's a divisional game. We got to win this to get to New England. We got to have this game.
Yay. I'm just not too excited. I really think, here's the thing. I got two predictions for you. One is if the weather's bad,
it doesn't matter.
The Steelers win it 21-17.
Okay.
If the weather is good, it will be Kansas City beating the Steelers about 31-21.
Hey, listen, we're in Kansas City on Sunday. Hey, remind me, is this Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas? Where
Missouri.
Is this? Missouri. Okay.
Missouri.
So what do you think the weather's going to be like out in the Midwest? It's going to be probably worse than it is here.
Well,
it's snowing now out there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually worse out there in the Midwest if you've watched the weather patterns.
Yeah.
So if it goes that way, I give the Steelers the win. If it's a non-existent weather day, I think Kansas City wins that.
Right.
And that's where I stand on that because I just think Kansas City, even though the Steelers beat them, you got to remember the Steelers did beat them in Pittsburgh in the regular season. So that's a big factor, having the game at Kansas City. And the equalizer then would be the weather. Yeah. And I think the Steelers, because they played in such a severe condition last week in Pittsburgh.
And did well.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you heard on the telecast that Jim Nantz and Phil Simms were talking about the fact that at the practice facility where the Steelers train,
left the doors
which is
open.
Indoors,
he
opened the doors on the place. So it was as cold. Actually, Nantz and Simms said it was colder inside than it was outside at one point.
Yeah, I follow them every day on, I think it's Steeler Gold or something like that, one of the .coms. But having said that, I mentioned the fact that we've got to go through New England to win. Now, got to be Kansas City first, and that's going to be all important. But let me ask you and Jimmy this question, and we'll talk about some of these other divisional games coming up Saturday and Sunday. New England wins this whole thing, and you're Goodell, man, and you've got to hand that trophy over to Tom Brady, okay, on that night, and you really don't want to do it. What do you think is going through Tom Brady's mind about that time? First Dave and then Jimmy.
I think Brady's been around the block enough times that it will phase Roger Goodell more than it will phase Tom Brady. There will be a silent sense of satisfaction
no doubt.
for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But I think there might actually be a physical grimace from Roger Goodell as he hands the trophy. And I would, if I were Belichick, I would make sure, Tom, you step right up there and take that trophy.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Well, let me ask you this, Jimmy, MVP, okay, MVPs this year. And there are a few, like Matt Ryan could possibly be named MVP. I don't know why. You're thinking about Atlanta. They play this weekend. Brady, after 4 games. Remember, he missed 4 games, and he's probably the front runner for the MVP this year. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree on that. Missing 4 games, having what? I forget how many touchdowns, maybe like 35, 36 touchdowns, something like that.
Yeah.
Like 3,000 yards. Missing 4 games?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, he's the MVP.
Well, who else is in the running? When I hear these other names, like they're
Zeke Elliott,
Aaron
Rodgers,
maybe Dak Prescott,
Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
They're the ones.
Well,
but the funny thing is you can also give it to Aaron Rodgers because the Packers stunk early on this season. We all know that.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers said, you know what, we're going to win out and we're going to the Super Bowl.
Well.
And after he said that in the media, they won out,
and he said, "Don't
against the Cowboys."
Yep.
So maybe Aaron Rodgers.
And he said, "Don't." Well, he said, "Don't worry about
that would
it."
be my pick.
Well, let me ask you this: Dallas takes on the Packers this weekend. Packers got to go through Dallas to get to wherever they're going, and that happens. I believe that game is on Sunday as well. It could be Saturday, but having said that, what's your prediction on that game, Jimmy? Because Packers have to win, and I have a feeling that the Cowboys are going to be in the hunt for the NFC anyhow. So what's your prediction of the Dallas-Green Bay game?
With Jordy Nelson out, and that is Aaron's big target. That's Rodgers'
go-to
one big
guy.
target.
Yeah.
They don't have a running game. Dallas has a running game. They have Dak, who's a rookie. I would say it's going to be Dallas. It's going to be a close game, but it's going to be Dallas. 17-14 Dallas. So they'll win it with a last-second field goal.
And you don't see them eking out any kind of victory. Aaron Rodgers is pretty good for that, Dave. You know, he sort of reminds you of Brett Favre in that they can be down to the last 30 seconds, like Joe Montana even, Dave. You know what I'm saying, Dave?
Yeah.
Only
if.
Hold up, Jimmy. Hold up.
Jordy Nelson does not play.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, this is obviously the Cowboys game. And they're going to win this probably somewhere in the area of I'm going to go with 35 to, I'll give them a couple of field goals. 35-20.
You know what I'm kind
of the Cowboys over Green Bay.
Okay, you know what I'm kind of glad of whenever I ask you and Jimmy for these predictions? I'm glad you're not in front of a firing squad with a blindfold on. They say, we'll give you 5 seconds to say your last words. Because as you guys go, you're already dead. Too late. Anyhow, let me ask you this, Jimmy. Atlanta at Seattle. Man, that could be a hell of a game. I kind of like Seattle in that game, man.
No. Remember, beginning of the year, I predicted Atlanta, right?
Remember I don't know. We don't remember
yes, you
that.
Did.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with that pick and say Atlanta.
Are you saying Atlanta's going to show up in the Super Bowl, Jimmy?
I say
they're just going to win this
beat
game.
Seattle.
Okay.
And then they're going to go to Dallas, beat Dallas.
Whoa.
It's going to be the Atlanta Falcons versus the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl.
Wouldn't that be nice, Dave?
Baby.
Wouldn't that be nice? So in this Atlanta-Seattle game, what's your prediction on the score real quick? Is that even going to be close, or is this a shootout between Wilson and Matt Ryan?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh, no. Matt Ryan's going to throw for 400. He has Julio back there.
Okay. So he's going to light him up.
But the funny thing is Richard Sherman's going to be on Julio, and we all know how Richard Sherman is.
Yeah.
When he gets beat, he's going to start holding, illegal hits, this and that.
He's an intimidating factor. Yeah.
But they have a running game.
Okay.
Atlanta has a running game, just like Dallas.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dave, Dave, what would your prediction be? And I don't even know these two teams, other than I watch Seattle from time to time because of Russell Wilson. Atlanta at Seattle. Any kind of prediction on that game?
If Atlanta's defense is really up to the task, which they can be at times, I saw Wilson struggle in a number of games against good defenses. And so with that in mind, I'm going to go with Atlanta beating Seattle at Seattle. Hell with that 12th man thing.
Yeah, that's not even helping probably the 12th man. Hey, here's something, guys, I just found out today, and his name's been bandied about, and all these coaches that have gotten fired, Chip Kelly, and the list just goes on and on. Tom Coughlin's name came up. Remember the former Giants coach who got fired last year? Well, his name came up. Well, he's back in the league now. He was just named the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you remember, he actually coached that team, I think, when they came into the league. But Tom Coughlin is now the GM. And, of course, they're trying to get some things straightened out down there in Jacksonville. So we wish them the best of luck. It's Monday Night Sports Talk, a special edition here on a Tuesday. Jimmy Ty in Hamburg, PA. From Central PA, we've got Dave Shannon, which, by the way, coming up after a break, we're going to talk some Penguins hockey because there's some exciting stuff going on there, especially tomorrow night. And then some high school hoops, which is exciting. We'll tell you about some upcoming scheduling that we have. And, more importantly, coming up in February, you guys didn't even know this. We're actually going to be on the radio. It could be pirate. Yeah, somebody could be going to jail, but hey, nonetheless, it won't be either one of you. They got to find us first. Stick around.
Pennsylvania Highlands Community College provides you the option to earn an associate degree, diploma, or certificate at an affordable cost. The Penn Highlands Huntington Center, located on Margie Drive in Huntington, offers degree programs in business management, criminal justice, liberal arts and sciences, and psychology. Are you ready to take the next step on your career path? Contact Penn Highlands Huntington at 814-643-6200 or visit Penn Highlands Community College online at pennhighlands.edu.
The Huntington Moose Family Center 223 is the heart of the community. Becoming a member of the Huntington Moose enables you to join friends who have served the community for over 100 years. Join the women of the Moose for another great breakfast and bake sale coming up Saturday, January 21st from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Plus, check out our Friday food specials every Friday this month. The Huntington Moose Family Center 223, serving the community with the best value in town. It's a special edition of Monday Night Sports Talk. Chad States will be with us again on Monday. Matter of fact, he'll be with us later this week on Thursday night as the Huntington Bearcat Wrestlers take on the Mount Union Trojans. Dave Shannon, by the way, with a live basketball action as the boys take on Bellefonte Tuesday night at Huntington High School. But more importantly tonight, we've got Jimmy Ty from Hamburg, PA, and Dave Shannon from Central PA. More notably, the city of motion, I call it, Dave, Altoona, Pennsylvania. Dave, you're probably like me.
We still call it the Mountain City.
The Mountain City.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? I was just reminiscing with my brother. I moved there in 1974. I think I was all of 18. And when I got to Altoona for my first real gig, I lived on a hill. Man, there are hills all over Altoona. But anyhow.
You betcha.
Going up,
you betcha.
I lived
By the way, it takes me back, WVAM, where I had my first radio job.
Yeah.
When we did weather forecasts, we had a little jingle.
Yeah.
And the little jingle went, Mountain City weather.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. But listen, so I moved to Altoona, and I'm up on 11th Street and 17th Avenue. Now, 11th Street was where the old bus station was, Greyhound. Then it became that nudie bar, Kontiki, and then the Philadelphia. So all you had to do was walk up 6 blocks up my hill on 11th Street, and then you had to go up 17th Avenue, which was on this hill that went straight up by Wright School. When you parked your car in the wintertime, you had to park it sort of diagonally, but it still could be at the bottom. Well, it would still be at the bottom of the hill the next day. You know what I'm saying? So one morning,
I do like to say,
it was crazy. What's that, Jimmy?
I do like to say, I just saw this online just now during our break. Johnny Manziel.
Oh, no. He's
former
dead.
Cleveland Brown quarterback will set up a booth and charge $50 for selfies during Super Bowl week.
Oh, jeez. Well, listen, his dad predicted.
I guess he got to get his weed money somehow.
Yeah, and I remember his dad predicted that he'd be dead by Christmas. So I'm glad to hear Johnny's still living. He's making a living.
Yeah, there you go.
From selfies.
Anyhow, Dave, I was going to say real quick, and I'll let it go. We coming up February, we are finally a 40-year dream. It was always my dream, even as a young kid sitting in my basement playing with the woolen sack tape recorder and just reading the news from the newspaper, wanting to go into the industry. I always wanted to have my own radio station. And so coming up February 16th, actually about February 6th, the Air Network will launch a new FM station in Huntington now. We're just going to cover Huntington and the surrounding areas for the older folks who would love to tune in to listen to you do the basketball games or listen to us do sports talk. But for some reason, they're technically challenged. Like, well, how do I get online? What do you mean you can listen to radio on your phone? So for those demographics, they'll be able to listen to us actually on the FM dial. We'll tell you the frequency and give you more information as the weeks progress here on Monday Night Sports Talk. Tonight, a special edition, and tomorrow night, a real special edition of hockey, Dave. I can't tell you. I'm sort of like fiending, dude. I was like going nuts. It's like, what do you mean they got an 8-day break? What the hell? These are hockey players. They should be playing every day. Because you remember, I would call you up and say, Dave, are they going to be on tonight? And you'd say, no, It's another 2 days. And I'm thinking, damn. It's like, okay, so now we got probably the premier game, as far as I'm concerned, of the year with this of course, event with the Penguins and the Capitals tomorrow night. Talk about their season. These are two evenly matched teams, and they always go at it.
Yeah, this is quite the rivalry. Probably, although the Flyers' rivalry is still big. And the other thing is, the Penguins, since they're Stanley Cup champs, pretty much have a target on their back no matter who they play. So it's it's going to be a rough and tumble game. However, it will be good to see. And I think the one thing that's going to happen, and maybe they don't win tomorrow night. They play them again Monday night in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Okay. We're on the road tomorrow night then. Okay.
Yeah, they're on tomorrow night in Washington. Then they go to Ottawa to take on the Senators on Thursday. Saturday, they go to Detroit, take on the Red Wings, and then come back home and play the Caps once again. And I was going to use that old, if familiarity breeds contempt. But there's plenty of contempt between those two teams that you don't have to breed anything.
And all you have to do is say the Capitals and the Penguins. And by the way, the record, I was checking tonight, 26-8-5 for the Pens and 26-9-5, I believe, for the Capitals. The Pens actually lead in goals scored this year, and that's incredible. But even some good news, because a couple of these guys are going to be in the NHL All-Star Game. Talk about that. Big Sid the Kid, the captain this year.
Oh yeah, well, hey, it's going to be good to see Sid show off. It's kind of funny. You know how good he is. Now I don't know. I can't remember back, and if anybody else out there remembers this or not, but I don't recall Wayne Gretzky being booed everywhere he went. But I'll tell you what, Crosby. Especially in these games against like Washington, the Flyers, the Rangers, all of those games, man, oh man, that guy, and now even Columbus, the Blue Jackets.
Blue Jackets, they got to be the hottest team in the league right now. I mean, that's incredible. They got this stretch going on that's unbelievable.
Yeah, and so bottom line is the Pens, but they seem to react so well to this. They came out. And Tampa Bay gave them their best speed game that they possibly could on Sunday. And the Penguins ended up beating them 6-2. It was close into the third period, but then, not only did the Penguins have the speed, but then the goal-scoring ability of this team. And they've been blessed, too, not to have any extended major injuries. Chris Letang was out for a while. Trevor Daley was out for a while, but Sid and Evgeny Malkin have been on the ice constantly throughout the season so far. And you keep those two guys healthy.
Oh, man.
Even if they don't score, the one thing about those two guys is they draw so much attention. Yeah. And it frees up the other guys, and they have so many other talented players on that team. I thought it was interesting this year that especially at the beginning of the season, Coach Sullivan decided to go with Phil Kessel on Evgeny Malkin's line. Phil Kessel, for an extended period, was the leading scorer with points on the Penguins team because he was both scoring goals and getting a lot of points on assists on goals.
Well, let me ask you this. The All-Star game, the two representatives would be Crosby and Gino, right? And I think Crosby actually starts this year for the first time in his All-Star career, where he actually gets. But this is is that the 3-on-3 that you and I talked about, the competitive 3-on-3, which is a little bit different than watching hockey as we know it. But that's what makes hockey exciting when you put the best skaters against the best skaters in the All-Star game. Unlike that NBA thing where it's like the dunk thing, and then you got like the Pro Bowl. For God's sake, what are they still having that for? That's just a vacation for guys to play flag football. They should put on skirts.
And they moved it now from Hawaii to Florida. So, what, Jimmy?
God.
The two best All-Star games, talking about All-Star games.
Yeah.
The two best is NHL,
MLB.
and Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and that would be probably the best. And the thing about MLB this year, Hot Stove, they decided, no, you're not going to decide who plays first in the, World Series.
World Series.
Yeah, thank God. Just flip the coin or something or whatever you do. Hey, listen.
It goes to the team with the best record.
And that's the way it should be. That's the way it really should be.
Yeah, you're right.
Basketball,
I mean, where's your
ball.
reward?
It's New York City street ball.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's up and down.
All-Star game, it's and you have your Steph Currys and your LeBron James and your Durant and your Wade. That is a bunch of friends getting together.
Yeah, and having a good time.
Let's play New York City street ball. Let's throw the ball off the backboard.
Yeah.
Do 360s. Coach is not going to get mad at
And
me.
there's no defense, though, Jimmy. There's no defense.
Three-pointers.
Yeah,
that's what
right.
it is.
All right, Monday Night Sports Talk, a special edition here on a Tuesday. Like Dave called me the ringleader last night. I got to kind of keep these guys apart because, even on Skype they fight each other and want to try to get the last word in. Anyhow, Dave, let me ask you this. It was the first time for you to get out there for a while in high school basketball. You might recall you actually did Huntington Bearcat ladies. Oh, they were in the districts or regionals years ago. Oh, probably about 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was actually in the regional.
Yeah, where was that? Was that Hollidaysburg? Yeah, that's what it was. Obviously, Huntington had a great squad back then. Not to demean the squad they have. And the fact of the matter is you'll be following them throughout the season and the boys. But last night was actually a treat for you, even though the score didn't indicate that the girls from Huntington were having fun. It was 51-23. But, there was some great talent on that court last night, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Juniata Valley came in, Lady Hornets, with an 8-3 mark on the season. And they showed last night why they're one of the better teams out there playing. They do have a talented squad. I don't know how far they can go. Potentially, because as you make the move up through the ranks in the postseason, you just run into better teams. And they probably have three people or so on that team that they can really rely on for scoring.
Right.
But if they get into foul trouble or whatever, it could be a problem.
Yeah.
The Lady Cats. The Lady Cats are a work in progress.
Yeah.
And I think as time goes on, actually, their JV squad beat up on Juniata Valley in the game prior to the varsity contest.
Right. And after this edition tonight here on Tuesday Live till 8 o'clock, we'll repeat this at 10. Somewhere maybe around 8 o'clock, we'll sneak in that Huntington game around so we can hear it again, okay, here on the airnetwork.net. So we'll try to get that hooked up this evening for you. Of course, if you're listening on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, you could hear that game throughout the day or go to our front page, as you can listen to Monday Night Sports Talk again as we get that up on our front page as well. So let me ask you this real quick, guys. Either one of you guys have been following Penn State Wrestling? They're number 2 now in the nation. Dave, you've been following them, or Jimmy?
I have not.
Okay, well, they actually wrestled Nebraska in Nebraska on Sunday. Nebraska ranked number 7, Penn State ranked number 2 this year, and I'm sure they'll get better, and they are better because they're undefeated. So whoever is number 1, and I'm sure Chad could relate to us who that is, they've got to be a hell of a team. But Penn State actually won 7 out of the 10 bouts the other night in Nebraska. And that's a lot because you know what? Nebraska is a powerhouse, and Penn State won that 27-14, as I mentioned, winning 7 of 10 matches. Having said that, coming up on Thursday night on our airnetwork.net, live wrestling, Chad States has all the action between the Huntington Bearcats and also the Mount Union Trojans. Bearcats, by the way, have only lost 1 match this season thus far. They battled a very tough Bellefonte team. But as far as the tournaments, and you guys got to realize tournaments is very important in AAU basketball and also in high school wrestling these days. You have a lot of tournaments over the holidays when everybody else is fattening up on turkey and ham and all that good stuff. The wrestlers are still kind of cutting weight and staying strong and, into the regiment. And, of course, getting ready for the postseason. So the dual season doesn't mean a whole lot. Chad States will have, of course, the action between Huntington and Mount Union coming up on actually Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Jimmy, let me ask you this. Dave touched on it. Broad Street Bullies, Philadelphia Flyers used to be, I mean, they were tough. They put fear in men everywhere, even when they walked down the street. Because, I mean, a big guy, quite frankly, with no teeth scares the hell out of me. Now, having said that, are there a lot of people wearing jerseys down there in your area of Hamburg, which is in that area around Philadelphia?
Yeah, you see some you see some Flyer fans down here. I know a few people that are Flyer fans, and they look at me like I went out the other night to get something to eat, and I'm wearing a Pens shirt, and they're like, Pens?
Yeah.
Pens.
Jimmy, you
Flyer country.
You could end up getting, well, you know.
Like, oh, I'm sorry.
God love you.
I'm from Pittsburgh area. I'm sorry.
Can you fight?
You see that.
Yeah.
You know, they still talk about the Broad Street Bullies.
Hey, the next guy says, Jimmy.
It's still a big rivalry, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. It doesn't matter if Pittsburgh, if the Pens haven't won any games and the Flyers are undefeated or vice versa. Well, it's still going to be a battle, and both teams hate each other. So,
hey, Jimmy, you're always getting advice off of me. The next guy that says something about your Penguins jersey, how tall are you again?
6'4".
Okay, because you're such a tall guy, not real big, but tall. Can you fight, Jim? Because next time,
here's the funny story.
Smack the guy in the mouth. No, don't do that, Jimmy, please.
Here's
the Zdeno Chara of Hamburg.
Yeah.
No,
He's
the
a
other
goon.
day I went to lunch.
Yeah,
the
okay.
Other day I went to lunch, and I went to Wendy's in Hamburg, right?
Oh, you had hamburger at
and
Wendy's.
I'm wearing my Pens. I'm a Pens fan.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing my Pens little ski cap, whatever. The guy looks at me at Wendy's. He's like, he told me my price is like $4.31 for my sandwich and my drinks and that. He's like, but I should charge you more money.
Yeah.
Why? He's like, because you're a Pens fan.
And you should have smacked him right there and said, I don't want anything, you prick.
But I know he was just joking with me, you know.
I know.
So I go the next day to Wendy's. He's like, oh, you're my favorite Penguins fan. The only one down here.
Yeah, you are, Jimmy. It's kind of when you go alone places by yourself, be careful. I hope you're carrying your 9, because I'm carrying mine. Hey, Dave, having said that.
My what? 9.
Never mind.
What the heck is that?
Never mind. Hey,
I
Dave.
know what he's talking about.
Yeah, anyhow, Dave.
And it's not the 9 you're thinking about, Jim.
No, hey, because I actually went out. Yeah, I went out on a date one night with a girl, and she goes, "Oh, are we using protection?" And I pulled my 9 from out under my seat. I said, "I'm protected. How about you?"
Oh, I was thinking of another 9.
Yeah, I know.
All
we
right.
know.
There we go. Hey, Dave, let me ask you now, because you've been a fan of all these sports, especially hockey, man. You got to have a jersey or something that is your favorite jersey that you wear. I never saw you ever wear one, though.
I have two Penguins jerseys. I have the Winter Classic jersey from the previous Winter Classic at Heinz Field.
Okay.
That was the blue Penguins jersey that they did, dark blue with light blue stripes on it. It's a Sidney Crosby jersey.
Okay.
It has the Winter Classic patch on it.
Yeah.
Got it for a very good price off of eBay.
Okay.
And then I have the one that they're currently wearing this year, normally at home, the black jersey with the Penguins crest on the front. Yeah. And once again, that's a Sidney Crosby jersey. So, I mean, there's any number of players that I would be proud to wear their jerseys.
Yeah.
But Sid is just somebody that I can't avoid.
Oh, no.
As far as the best guy that next to Mario that's gone through Pittsburgh. Well, hey, one last thing I wanted to get in, Greg.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know who's doing the advertising for Gatorade, but they should all be fired.
What happened?
You have the worst commercials in America. First, they started with that. You say ridiculous, I say redonkulous. Let's roll the whole thing back. I couldn't stand that.
Yeah.
Now they have these new ones with these guys shoving these protein bars into their mouth, trying to sing with a mouthful of protein bars.
Hey, Jimmy.
You gotta be kidding me.
Dave, that's appealing to those kids that do water flips. People that chase.
Oh, yeah, right.
They also chase. Pokemon was hot, like, for how long? 3 months. They moved on to something else.
Still plays Pokemon.
Well, thank you, but listen. Don't worry about it, Dave. It'll be over soon. Those commercials,
Good.
it'll be just like the Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial. They'll change that guy every
guys,
day.
Don't get me started on it. Thank God the show's over. 'Cause I can go on and on and on about that guy.
Hey, thanks for listening to our special edition of Monday Night Sports Talk. We'll do it again, actually, on Monday. Meanwhile, thank you, Jimmy Ty. Thank you, Dave Shannon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you on Monday.
weekend.
All right. Have a great weekend. Go Steelers.
Yeah. The Steelers.